You're always in alignment. The question is to what? To be out of alignment means you're living, choosing, showing up in a way that it's not fully true and authentic with your soul's deepest desire. From Lovelistic Living, this is the BEmpowered Podcast with your Italian host and psychic healer, Sara Garofalo. As the leading destination for personal development and empowerment, this is your roadmap to healing, unlocking, and transforming your life. Our goal is to normalize the practice of spirituality and empower you to unlock your highest potential so you can step into your power, clear energy blocks, shift your subconscious beliefs, and manifest the love, abundance, and life you deserve. Welcome back to the podcast with your host and spiritual healer, Sara, here with Love Holistic Living. I'm so excited about this podcast episode because lately the collective, and this is a message for the collective by specifically referring to what I've been going through at a cellular level, is that when we are transitioning, upgrading, ascending, whatever terminology you resonate with the most, is that we sometimes get lost. There is this place in between that it's out of alignment before we click into the next version of ourselves. And I want you all to know that the healing journey is literally never ending, is not linear, and you will be guided towards different path. And sometimes the path to get to the destination is, it sounds controversial, but you can be losing yourself in the process just because you need to find yourself. So another example that spirit is showing me right now is that let's just think about weight loss and the body, because that's a very hot topic for women especially, and I'm sure for men. But let's just say that you want to have a fit body, a healthy body. Okay? So you want to lose weight. Okay? That could be your desire. Outcome is to lose weight. Ultimately, because you want to feel healthy, you want to feel fit again, you want to feel magnetic again, and you you start this new lifestyle that is honestly a bit different than what you've been doing so far. So you may feel like that's not quite you yet. Then you go, and so what people do is they go into the extreme of the healthy lifestyle. Let's just say that you've been eating somewhat junks or somewhat not controlled lifestyle and you've had a little bit of fun. Great. Now you go towards the diet. You want to lose weight, so you go all like cleansing, green mode, chia seeds, hemp seeds, all green. And it can work for a while, but let's just say that that's the extreme, that it's taking you out of alignment for a little bit. So you get into this lifestyle, but that truly doesn't resonate with where you want to be in life. Because maybe what you want is to integrate this balance and moderation of having greens in your diet, but still having like pleasure, fun, some glasses of wines here and there. And so then you revert back to, so you get lost in the extremes for a little bit, then to only find the way back to what balance can actually look like. So that is the typical example of what out of alignment in the lifestyle area looks like. I walked that path. So for me, it's easy to talk about because I went from gaining weight and very much pleasure, having fun, not being careful, to being an extreme healthy vegan for 4 years, to then realize that what I deeply most wanted at a soul level was to feel healthy and fit while maintaining balance and pleasure. So that's like a very, I would say, perfect example, very tangible example of what out of alignment may look like in your daily life. Now, out of alignment is also when your external life no longer matches your internal truth. So we can take it to the extreme and really when you don't feel it, when you feel maybe stuck in your head, when you are out of your element. And let me just give you an example, another tangible example in another category that is between you want to explore your sensuality, okay? And so there is that person or that friend, they're so sensual and they have embodied that sensual. That's their lifestyle. That's the way they dress. Maybe they like to wear very sensual lingerie. Okay. Now you get to try to do it. And you're kind of like a more high priestess, what I call like you're more sacred. You do like sensual and pleasure, but let's just say that your inner state, your inner nature is to be more of like a celestial being and you're trying to be this erotic version of yourself and you can become sensual for a high priestess. We're not saying that, but if you're trying to be like your friend, then you may be coming out of alignment because that's not in the true essence of your core being. It's kind of like saying someone who is very goddess like. So the goddess archetype is very ruled by sex. And then you're trying to be a high priestess and that can feel maybe too sacred or that can feel restrictive to your energy. So that's out of alignment. Okay? Now, we are going to take a look with examples of how you may be out of alignment in your daily life just to help you understand vibrations and how the body communicates with you. Because at the end of the day, the most powerful frequency you can embody is the deepest, most raw frequency of authenticity. When you allow yourself to be your most authentic self, then your energy is going to shine brighter and you're going to become so magnetic by nature because you're not trying to be someone else. You are just being you. And being you can look completely different from four different people. So let me give you another example. Someone who is a cowboy or loves that lifestyle, that dress codes, okay? And suddenly is put into an environment where they are with New York finance people and guys. Okay, I'm going to talk about men, but that could be for a woman. That can be um, for any kind of environment. So think about your environment, right? So when we place someone that is, it could be a cowboy, and then we're saying, like, look, you're going to live here, you're going to dress this way and you're going to act this way, they may feel suddenly like out of their light, out of their alignment, because what they want is to ride horses and work on a ranch and feel extremely masculine in that way. While the finance guy could be like, look, I feel so magnetic when I have the shirt and ties and I'm wearing like nice clothes, I'm going fine dining, and that's their essence. So there is no right or wrong here. That works for women too. It's just the pure essence of your soul. For a woman can look like you like to be natural beauty. You may not like makeup. And then there are some women that love more of taking care of their body in a way that it's applying the makeup. We're not saying that if you don't put makeup on, you're out of alignment. We're just saying, according to your values, you like to be natural. And the other woman says, well, according to my value, when I put on makeup, it feels like very nurturing, and I feel so magnetic, and pretty much that's at a soul core, at a soul value. That's who you are. For me, an example that really speaks to the core of my being was when I became totally vegan and I started hanging out in the hippie vegan community, and I started dressing like with the clothes codes, the dress code of someone who is in that environment. And there's no right and wrong here. Absolutely, that we're not saying that is wrong or we're better. But growing up in Italy next to Milan, where it's the capital of fashion of Italy and probably Europe, I was influenced by fashion, by nice clothes, and at the core of my being, I love taking care of myself by going shopping and wearing nice clothes, doing my hair, putting on makeup, right? So I went into the vegan yoga lifestyle for a while, for 5 years, 4 to 5 years. And at the end, which consequently was connected to my abusive relationship, I felt so out of alignment. I didn't feel magnetic. I felt like so, my light was so dim that now looking at pictures, I'm like, I don't even know who that person is. That's a very specific example that maybe some of you can relate. So let me know in the comments, what examples do you have for yourself? But in terms of being out of alignment, is living from force instead of flow. So that's a generic kind of tagline that you can apply in your life of if you're living out from force, like forcing something, instead of flowing. And that can apply to scheduling your summer trip and controlling every details of we're taking the train at 8 a.m., we're getting to the hotel at 12 p.m., and or allowing for the flow of like, hey, what's in alignment for that trip will show up. We're going to go to Venice, but whatever happens between the train and the hotel, like let's let's live in alignment with what we must see, meet, what we must eat, try, and expose ourselves to living in flow. Okay. So, generically, it's when you drift away from your inner guidance. And generically, is when you drift away from your inner guidance. And instead of moving from trust, you're moving from fear, pressure, and conditioning. Ooh, I'm feeling chills as I'm saying that from someone who is very accustomed to the world of energy as an energy healer and as a psychic. I literally see energies. It's much easier, I would say, to feel when I'm out of alignment because these are the symptoms that you may be experiencing. The energetic and emotional signs. You may feel drained after doing something that should excite you, but instead you feel drained. I had a client one time that worked in corporate world and she wanted to be an entrepreneur again, and she completely felt so drained. She went into doing her lab work, going to doctors to see if there was something physical, and it was not. Everything was perfect. Then she decided, after working together, like after finding that courage to step into her most aligned and purpose-driven life that she wanted for herself, her fatigue completely was gone in a heartbeat, like literally within a week, if not the next day. Now, the second sign we are noticing is that you may be constantly overthinking or second guessing your decisions. So you may be coming from the mind a lot rather than being connected to your heart. Now, you feel disconnected from your body or intuition. That's definitely another sign. Your nervous system is always in survival mode. And you are maybe emotionally reactive. So snapping, crying, numbing more than usual. That is your body letting you know that there is something that is out of alignment. You should pay attention to it. Again, intuition speaks from the body. You may hear me say this over and over again. Now, behavioral signs that we may be noticing here is you're saying yes when it's a clear no, when your body is screaming no to the core of your being. For example, I had another client that was like, I was invited to this birthday party, my aunt's birthday party, and I said yes, but honestly, like we're going camping, I have to drive 6 hours, I have to stay there. I hate camping, and my whole body says no. So we're out of alignment because it's out of your natural state of being, of what you want. Now, the second one is you may be forcing, chasing, hustling instead of attracting. Ooh, that's a powerful one. That could be in dating, that could be in love, that could be in business. So the next thing is you're tolerating situations that feel heavy, misaligned, or expired. Another example here is, let's just say that you want the healthy person, the healthy guy, the healthy woman to come into your life, and you are saying yes to misaligned opportunities, misaligned people, pretty much. Then you're constantly out of alignment and you're riding the vibration of being out of alignment. Now, the next sign, behavioral sign, is you are distracting yourself, scrolling, or being avoidant to your feelings just because you don't want to go there. You don't want to be raw and honest with how you feel because it's uncomfortable sometimes to say, look, this is out of alignment. Like the most scariest thing is actually when we say this relationship is no longer in alignment. And that's like, I understand profoundly people that are avoidant because if we then look at that and we finally scream it or say it out loud, the whole world is like, we feel that world is going to crash and we're like, oh my God, now I've seen it. I cannot not see it. And it's going to haunt me every day until I leave this relationship or I leave this job. So let me know if you resonate because I've been there, but I can tell you also that I'm being on the other side of taking that leap, and life is so much greater and more expansive. Like the expansion that you feel when you fully say yes to life, to living the life you love, is nothing compared. You can compare to the life of feeling trapped. Now, another typical sign is the good girl syndrome. So you feel like you're acting from a place of I'm really good instead of being you, being unapologetically you. Now, the inner world signs, we're going to look at some inner world signs that you may be feeling when you're out of alignment. So feel free to take notes because feel free to re-listen because this is so juicy, this podcast episode, and it will help you to navigate life and decisions. Now, you may feel far from your purpose or path. So I just met this couple on a vacation in Santa Barbara, and she's a stay-at-home mom, he's a lawyer, and I was talking to them, and he was like, look, I'm a really good lawyer, but I just did that out of what I should be doing, and honestly, I don't want to do that. Like that's not what my soul is calling me to do. So obviously it's much harder to be like, well, I'm just going to close my practice and say yes to life when you have maybe like a good financial practice. But I want you to know that's how it looks like, and sometimes you have to leap into what makes you feel happy or make a decision based upon your values. Now, second is you're seeking external validation to feel safe or worthy. That's still people pleasing. And that's out of alignment because it's not about you doing you, it's you trying to seek that love and validation from someone else. in the relationship field can look like I am putting up with you, putting up with bare minimum just because I don't want to be alone. I live in scarcity mindset, lack mindset, that there's nobody else, or because I lack self-love and self-respect. And in order to seek the love and validation, I people please, or I dim my light. Another sign that most people actually encounter when out of alignment is the lack of creative flow, the lack of creativity. So let's just say that you're a creative person and suddenly you feel like there is no flow in your life. You love painting, you don't know what to paint. You love creating on social medias and you feel like something is not coming through. That's because you may be stuck or out of alignment for just maybe like a little bit. So you've got to rail that in and understand what is my soul saying here. And also we may noticing the sense of like abandoning yourself in order to people please others. So we're neglecting our own feelings. All right. So let me know if any of this hits your soul right now, because this is really juicy. It has helped me tremendously to really understand this concept of out of alignment in my business, in my personal life, relationships life, all of it. And I'm someone who has to lead from my soul, from the heart, from a place of intuition, because otherwise I've noticed in my life that I make the wrong choice and I come from masculine energy and it never brought me to any greatest decisions in my life. So I've learned to always listen to my heart. And when you come from the heart, you will less likely make the wrong decision. This is a kind of like a long-term solution here, but try it and see where it takes you. Now, at a soul level, when you're out of alignment, you may be noticing the following signs. You may be noticing that you're not excited about your vision anymore. It feels like a pull. It feels like I should be doing this rather than I feel like doing this. You may feel like you've outgrown the version of yourself, but don't know what's next. So that is typical when someone is upgrading, ascending, energetically up leveling, and it's totally normal to feel like you have outgrown the next version and you're in this in between. So at that point, let's just think about visually of trying different clothes. You've been wearing this certain like clothes, then you go into the shop, the clothing shop center, and then you get naked, obviously, and you're trying different outfits to see what the next version may look like. But you're in this between of like still being in your underwear, not really knowing what is going to fit you that is more soul led, heart led, like that it's in alignment with your soul. So that is one of the most excruciating pain for entrepreneurs, coaches, goal driven women, or entrepreneurs in general. For anybody who lives with purpose, that's very painful when we are in this in between of like shedding and what it's the next integration. Now, another sign that you may notice in at a soul level, you may hear your inner voice whispering, hey, this is not good for you. Or, hey, like you may feel resistance in your body. Like you may feel like, oh, tight, but you're not listening to it. So that's usually like the call for taking the action to step into your most aligned self. But sometimes we miss that call. And I'm noticing this a lot with people who, I'm a healer, obviously. I speak to different women, speak to different people, clients that ask me all the time, What is that like to work with you? And what is the next step? But they don't take it. So they don't take it, which means they've been asking to the universe, like, hey, I want to get from, let's just say, broken and living toxic relationships, breaking the cycle, to meeting the one and to feeling whole and at peace and so in love with myself. Or I want to feel so magnetic, irresistible. I want to get to the next level of success. Whatever that is, we focus as spiritual healers at removing the energetics and subconscious blocks that are holding you back while guiding you towards the embodiment of the next level you. So they're all in, like the mentor shows up, let's just say they get on a call and then they don't take actions. So they refuse the call. That's what it's like. And sometimes we have self-sabotaging thoughts of we're refusing the call because we're afraid to step into the unknown. But if we don't take actions in general, we'll never grow and life will stay the same. And I've learned so much to push myself out of that lingering pain of like, well, I know. So what I tell myself is, I know how this looks like. I can always come back to this. That's what I tell myself. But let me just be curious enough. And the one thing that I encourage everybody to have is curiosity. Like, I'm so curious in life that I'll jump just because I want to see what's on the other side. And remember, you can always go back to the way you used to be. So you're not losing anything. Seriously, you're not. You can just go back to your little place if you don't like it. But I've always found that once I leap, there's so much magic on the other side that I like to leap. And then the next sign is you're craving the depth, but everything else around you feels surface level. And yeah. And then another thing that you're out of alignment, you're out of the flow state of life is synchronicity. Synchronicities are not there. They're not showing up in your life. They feel distant. And it feels like life isn't clicking. And you're just like, why not? Like, I want that. It feels like a struggle. But I want everything to be a flow, and it's not. So these are all the signs. Now, other physical, like body signs that you may be experiencing to help you understand when your body's trying to communicate with you that you're out of alignment may be like tight chest, shallow breath, clenched jaws, and constant fatigue. We've talked about that. Headaches, gut issues, tension in the womb space, or tension in the stomach area. That for me has always been like the one. Feeling numb or disconnected from any physical, emotional sensation, like you've tapped out. And that's a sign of disconnection. That's a sign of like you're not tapped in because you've been refusing the call, you've been suppressing your feelings, and now you're like you're numb. And it's kind of like a scary place. I've been there myself a couple times in my life, and I realized it's because I kept pushing and suppressing my feelings, and then I couldn't reach them anymore. And then I was like, oh my God, I have to dig to find that, because the emotions in feminine energy, and if you want to lead with your heart, emotions are going to be helping you in decision making, in knowing when it's good or not for you. Okay. So being out of alignment, I want to reinstate that, is absolutely not a failure. It's a feedback. And I'm going to say this again, being out of alignment is absolutely not a failure. It's a feedback from life. Your soul is not punishing you. It nudges you to come back home. So, this is the returning and realigning to your soul's deepest desire, to live in authenticity with your deepest soul desires of what you are here to experience, do, offer to the world, and give. And I love thinking about it's the soul returning to home. So let me know in the comments, are you out of alignment? And what are the symptoms you are experiencing? And know that we're going to get you back. All right, I'll see you in the next episode. A big ciao.